Words of hope. Where do we go to find a message of hope? That's tricky. You know, as a scientist, I don't think about furnishing hope. I think about working to mitigate problems. With a lot of time and effort, we can collect data and begin to predict patterns. And we can use those patterns to test for better outcomes. A lot of people are going to get sick and die before we find a solution to the coronavirus. And then after that, there'll be something else. Most Americans don't put their hope in the hard rationality of science. We put our hope in cliches, like we're all in this together, which is fine unless you're on board the Titanic or in the endless version of High School Musical. Or we say we will get through this, and that's true for most of us, but then what? Do we put our hope in an expensive graduate school education? Or do we hope in the economy being good? Or we could hope for another World Series title. Wouldn't that be nice? Or the perfect combination of burger and beer. And just like that, a new coronavirus can take it all away. And we use these cliches maybe just to distract ourselves, or maybe because we just don't know what to say. Well, what about finding hope in religion? Either in believing the right things or doing the right things in order to gain some kind of eternal life. Well, that might make you a nicer person to be around or secure some kind of future for you, but how does that give us hope in the face of a global pandemic? Jesus taught his disciples to pray, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." That is, that the inevitable future reign of Jesus would break into the present. Being under his reign means we're no longer under the false gods of our own making, the gods of religion and politics and science. Think of how dehumanizing life was before the coronavirus. We were too busy at work to enjoy being with our families. We left every day hiding behind a mask of some kind of false identity. We were too distracted with sports and entertainment to remember our need for meaning and for relationships. And we were just exhausted, living under the illusion that we could control the precariousness of life. It is true that in a pandemic, people are lonely, but we can make friends. Some are hungry. Well, we can share with them what we have. And yes, some will die, but people have always died. Maybe we can just acknowledge that reality and grieve with those who grieve. All of these problems are things that will simply make us better humans. Our unique hope is that Jesus gives us a life worth living, and it's worth living for all eternity. Let me ask you a question. What about you? What was your life like before COVID-19? Was it worth living forever and ever? If it wasn't, then maybe consider COVID-19 an invitation of Jesus to come and have a life that's truly worth living, to come and find out what it means to be authentically human.